the last three modules, I have tried to explain what is biodiversity, what are the different components of biodiversity, and how the food chain and the anthropogenic inputs that are known to be put as far as the land use pattern is concerned, going to affect the most of the process and the biodiversity issues. So in this module, I am trying to focus upon what is the need of the day as far as understanding of these particular biodiversity issues are concerned. And there have been large effort that is basically being put forth as far as conservation of this biodiversity and the management issues pertaining to this biodiversity are concerned, in order to see how best we will be in a position to retain our habitats, or how best we will be in a position to maintain our environment for the successful survivability of the population on this earth. So one of the agenda, or there are in terms of the biodiversity assessment that is likely to be proposed, are some of the issues which are normally known to be put forth, and some of the major constraints that we see or that we have been able to identify about sometimes back was the construction of a or establishment of a strong database that will provide as far as the understanding or what biodiversity is normally known to prevail in these particular ecosystems. If you look at the database, we have a huge amount of information or the understanding about the species which are known to be occurring in the aquatic ecosystem, which are economically important. We don't have any dearth of information as far as economically important species are concerned. As we see profitability in this particular species as far as harvesting and the benefits that are normally known to occur as far as this particular species are concerned. However, our understanding on the rare species or the rare population is very, very poor. We have absolutely no idea or no information about the species that is normally known to be endemic or that is normally known to occur in these particular ecosystems. And therefore, one of the need that was basically being floated is to develop a strong database or to strengthen the database which is normally known to occur in terms of the species occurrence and the population that are abundance of this particular species that is known to occur in this particular area. And as I already mentioned, that most of these anthropogenic inputs or the human interference that is likely to come into the system is known to be affecting the habitat alteration or the habitat destruction. So there is every possibility that because of this particular destruction or alteration in these particular habitats which are known to occur, a sizable amount of species that could have probably been lost from that particular environment, and we have absolutely no idea as far as this particular species are concerned. So with these objectives or with these particular constraints, which are normally known to be looked into as far as the major constraints in the biodiversity assessment is concerned, we at the Department of Marine Sciences, Goa University, proposed or planned studies which were conducted mainly from 2005 to 2018, and we have collected a huge amount of data with the total sampling of about 280 hours, mainly utilizing the commercial trawling that was basically being used in this particular area. And as you can see here, that this particular map which you can see, it is a self-explanatory that you have different type of habitats which are normally known to be there in this particular ecosystem: mangroves, sandy shore, rocky shore. You have potential fishing grounds where the sampling is basically being carried out. You have also the reef patches which are known to occur in this particular. You have a port, you have dredging channel, you have another canal which is adjoining both these particular shrine systems, and you also have much of the operations that are basically being carried out in terms of the beach scene operations along the coast of port or a jetty. So if you look at this particular map which is being prepared by us, that itself is self-explanatory, trying to tell you how the habitat heterogeneity is normally known to prevail among this particular habitat, which bring about a better coupling and which is normally known to support a very high diversity in terms of the species population that is known to occur in this particular region. So, based on this particular study, our major focus was to generate a database which could probably provide a better understanding as far as the occurrence of this particular species in this particular region is concerned. And here you can see that we have almost recorded about 204 taxa from this particular locality, with the new contributions or with the contributions that are mainly known to be from teleost fishes as well as that of the elasmobranchs, and some of the miscellaneous groups like echinoderms, marine snakes and jellyfishes are also known to be contributing to this particular area, along with the crustacean population and then that of the mollusk. During this particular study, we have got a substantial amount of new records, which are mainly represented in the form of elasmobranchs and teleost. Also, the mollusk, you find a variety of species which are newly reported from this particular area, along with echinoderms, and then some of the sea snakes and the crustacean population that is known to occur from this particular region. Here, I would like to bring the attention here to a species which was reported for as a new species from this particular locality or from this particular area. And this particular species of Charybdis, we have tried to compare with almost about 42 congeners which are closely related to this particular species, and using the scanning electron micrograph of this male gonadopod, we have been able to describe this particular species as a new species and is being named after the state of Goa as Charybdis goensis. Similarly, we have also reported another species which is new to this particular locality, that is Hexapus bidentatus, because it is normally known to have two denticles which are normally known to occur on the calipid of this particular species, and this is also being described for the first time and is being compared with the five congeners which are normally known to which it was closely related, and we have been able to describe this particular species from this area. Then another effort that was basically being done with the occurrence of this particular fish, that is Cesiocunning, from the coastal habitats, which was wherein we try to explain the range extension of this particular species from this wherever it was normally known to occur. If you look at this literature, it was basically known to occur from Sri Lanka to Japan and then to Australia and maybe in the Port Blair, whereas the west coast of India had no report of this particular population which was normally known to occur. And for the first time, we have reported this particular species from the west coast of India, which was not previously available as far as the geographical range is concerned. And further studies pertaining to this particular species, it was found that it was basically known to occur in the reef patches or in the coral reef patches. So along the coast of Goa also, as we have demonstrated some time back, you will find that there are some reef patches which are normally known to occur, and probably that particular habitat complexity which was likely to prevail must have provided a appropriate niche as far as occurrence or distribution of this particular species in this region is concerned. Another important thing, typically from the South Goa, we have reported a sizable population of this particular echinodermates, that is Temnoplerus decipiens, which is also being described for the first time from the coast of India. As such, not much information on this particular echinoderms is basically being available, and there are a few species which are basically being identified from this particular region along the coast of India. And we have again compared this particular species with about 6 congeners, and a taxonomic key for the identification of this particular species has been provided. Similarly, we have also strengthened the database along the coast of Goa by reporting some of the new species, that is Carupella banlensis, from this particular region. This is also a species which is again new to the Indian waters as far as the occurrence of this particular species is concerned. Previously, this was only known to be reported from China and then that of the Somalia coast as far as distribution of this particular organism is concerned. We also tried to look at the controversy that was basically being associated with the Scilla species and Scilla olivacea and then that of the Scilla serrata. And for the first time, we have been able to distinguish that there is the occurrence of Scilla serrata and Scilla olivacea that is known to occur from the coastal waters of Goa. Always there was some ambiguity pertaining to this particular species as far as taxonomic identification is concerned, and this particular ambiguity we have tried to resolve by indicating that there are certain population or certain species of the Scilla olivacea which are likely to occur in this particular ecosystems, and which we have characterized by using about 23 morphometric characters and 27 morphometric ratios as far as this particular species are concerned. Another species which we another two species of this new record, that is one is Epicanthus frontalis and Atropepon glabra, were also being reported from the coastal waters of this Goan coast. And again, we have tried to describe this particular species which are new to the Goa coast, and we have also tried to take help of the scanning electron micrograph of these gonadopods to justify the identification, and we have also developed a proper identification key as far as this particular species is concerned. Similarly, we have also tried to describe morphology and morphometry of some of the Brachyura crabs, which are basically known to occur in the coastal habitats, which are largely impacted by the anthropogenic input. And we have also tried to describe this particular species with the help of different morphometric characters and statistics. In another study, we have tried to attempt or make an attempt to study the population of sea snakes or the marine snakes which are known to occur in the coastal waters. And if you look at these particular sea snakes, the diversity of these particular sea snakes is very high along the east coast of India or east coast, that is Gulf of Mannar. And as you move towards the west, you will find the diversity is normally known to be comparatively less. And if you move still west towards the Red Sea, you will find that the sea snakes are totally absent in these particular ecosystems. So in this, along the coast of Goa, we have tried to look at the sea snake population, and we found that it is basically being represented by two species, that is Anidrina schistosa and Lepimis curtis, which is known to occur in these particular ecosystems. While looking at some of the deeper issues as far as these particular species are concerned, we also try to understand and look at some of the relationships which are likely to occur among the barnacle species and then that of the sea snakes which are known to prevail, thus indicating that some sort of interaction or biotic interaction between the species is normally known to occur at this particular level. And based on food and feeding data of this particular sea snakes, we also try to develop a hypothetical food web wherein we try to demonstrate that these particular sea snakes are highly carnivorous and they feed at apex level, and they are highly carnivorous as far as their feeding strategy is concerned, thereby playing a very important role as a top predator in these particular habitats or in these particular ecosystems. Based on these particular studies or whatever that we have obtained over a period of time, somewhere in 2012, we published an updated inventory of the new records which were normally known to be occurring from this particular coastal state of Goa. And to this, we have almost added about 84 new species from this particular ecosystems, largely based on about 424 hours effort as far as fishing effort is concerned, and typically based on the commercial trawling operations which are basically being carried out in the coastal habitats. And based on in this inventory, we try to report two new species to science, then about two new records for the Indian waters, and about 74 new records from the coastal waters, thereby making a significant effort as far as strengthening of our database, as far as our understanding on the coastal diversity is concerned. In another attempt, we try to look at the elasmobranch catch from the inshore waters, which are also considered to be a top predators, mainly represented by sharks and some of the skates. And we try to look at the trophic web dynamics and the coastal fishery in these particular areas. And what we noticed was that over a period of time, there was a reduction in the fish catch, which was normally known to occur in terms of the total marine fish landings, and the contribution of the elasmobranchs to this particular fishery was also marginally reduced over a period of time. And what it emphasized that we are at a level where we are trying to remove much of the carnivorous population from that particular level, which is normally known to act as a top predator, and that removal of the carnivore is likely to increase the low trophic level fishes or probably the herbivore population, which is normally known to occur into that particular area, because you don't find the top control of this particular species that is likely to be exhibited on this particular population. And as a result, you find the overall trophic level, which is normally known to prevail, is known to decrease. That is, indirectly what it is trying to tell us is that if we keep on harvesting these apex predators which are known to occur in these particular waters, we are likely to end up with the reduction in the trophic level which is likely to occur, and probably we may not get much of the carnivorous population which is likely to occur in these particular areas or in these particular habitats if we continue to exploit at this particular level. And such an impact or such an removal of the top predator in that particular ecosystem is likely to have a cascade effect. That is, it will show down the lane, and then at a certain point of time, you will find only the herbivores population, or the population which is normally known to be confined at feeding at a very low level is normally known to dominate, and thereby depleting much of the top predators which are normally known to occur into this particular region. As you can see, that India is one of the tropical nation which is normally being bestowed with a huge amount of biodiversity or the diversity as far as marine life is concerned, and is also a signatory to the UN Convention on Biodiversity, which is being ratified by about 156 nations, including the European Commission. and wherein the Indian effort was to convince that there has been an immense pressure on this particular environment or the whole planet, which is likely to be subjected to be at loss. And as an Indian effort, we have about 668 protected areas which have been identified to conserve or protect these particular resources. In spite of this, we find a situation which is likely to be very, very serious. And if you look at this particular data, you will see that almost about 63 species have been almost extinct, and under 801 population species have been already wiped out. So this again gives us a picture that we are at a stage where we are almost trying to utilize much of the life as far as benefits of the human population is concerned. And some of the statistics that is basically being available, that again about 58% of the coral reef population are being potentially threatened by the human activities, and about 17% of the mangroves are also being destroyed because of the coastal development, climate change, and agriculture that is normally known to occur. So ultimately, it is the present day crisis that the human population himself or we ourselves are going to be a biggest crisis on this planet as far as destroying of this particular biodiversity or the life that is normally known to prevail in the marine ecosystem. So it is high time that we must try to protect our environment so that we have a better environmental conditions or a better habitat to survive and live in this particular world. Thank you.